Hello, and welcome to Buying and Beyond, the podcast that takes you behind the scenes of retail buying. We're Kate and Linz, and together we have over 30 years' experience in retail.
We'll be talking all things retail buying and beyond, so grab your drink of choice and come and have a giggle with us.
Ooh, right. So, here we are. Cheers to a new year.
Happy January.
Happy January, new year, new season.
Yeah,
did you have a nice Christmas?
I did a lot of skiing.
Skiing?
So now my thighs are killing.
Skiing, woo.
I know.
But that's good toning though, good toning for the legs.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't been skiing in years.
Oh, actually I was going to ask you before I went if you had any ski stuff I could borrow.
Oh my god, I do actually have a ski jacket and some salopette.
That's what I needed.
Although I've not been in years and years and years, so I don't know how.
You were more après, right, than actual skiing.
Yeah. La folie douche.
Yeah, la folie douche. Yeah, exactly.
But I wasn't the best skier, so that always really annoyed me, actually. God, total tangent already. It always really annoyed me that folie douche was so high up in the mountains.
Yes.
Because I can't ski down, let alone once I've had a few drinks.
Yeah.
And
it's quite a dangerous idea, isn't it, après?
It is.
Yeah.
But why did we ski back down? Did we just stay so late? Did we stay too late at après that then the ski lifts had closed? Or can you genuinely not get a ski lift down?
No, you can get a ski lift
Why
down.
didn't we?
I would assume that you probably were like, we're on a skiing holiday, we need to do some skiing. I would have thought. But isn't, like, just on that note, isn't it interesting to see brands develop into ski wear? Like, high fashion, and then go and do shoots on mountains and like the most impractical ski wear that you actually can't wear skiing.
Remember it, and this is not ski wear at all, but I really remember it from was it the Boohoo documentary? I've mentioned it before. But they went and did like an outlet, and it was like super.
She was freezing.
She was so cold. I really felt for her.
Skippy AF, wasn't it?
It's awful. I would hated to have been her. But no, you're right. There's some really, really, really nice luxury ski wear out there.
Mm-hmm.
And like there's just generally a lot more outdoor brands doing things really nicely. Obviously like the whole like athleisure, but then just like gym wear, obviously, Lululemon and Sweaty Betty's are now not just gym wear, it's like staples.
Yeah.
Although I find it a little odd sometimes, personal opinion, when their ranges go into kind of more like classic clothing, because it's not my go-to. So where they're doing like a dress,
stay in your lane kind of thing. Don't go too far out the line.
Yeah, a little bit. Like I understand needing to like diversify your offer, add in new categories, but I would, I'd keep myself more as a sports retailer, I guess. But I guess maybe they're going into more like it's like leisure wear, lounge wear type thing, and it's like I don't know. And there's so many great like brands out there now for sportswear. But I always go to what I know. But there's so many like lovely ones out there, and so many like new ones that you see cropping up all the time.
Everybody just wears sportswear.
And the thing is, as soon as you see that brand, you literally see it everywhere, like Adenola. Absolutely everywhere. Like you don't know of a brand and then suddenly everyone's wearing it. But it's a sign that a brand's doing really, really well, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. But I do think there's almost that line though of, these sort of throwaway fashion brands doing ski wear and it not really being like right for skiing, because skiing's quite extreme. Do you know what I mean? Like you cannot really be wearing like a non-insulated garment.
And when you're fooled into it because you think because it's labelled and like advertised as ski wear, and you're like, oh my god, amazing, like love that looks really cute, and because it's got the branding on it, you always assume always check your label, like is it actually
it's
so
like
right
warm,
it just looks the part.
You
find that with a lot of Zara things, particularly if you're like, I don't know, a Zara basic, and you're like, oh my god, this is an absolute steal. A ski jacket for 30 quid. Cha-ching, it's mine. And then
it's not actually windproof.
No, it's not lined.
Yeah.
It doesn't have any pockets. Yeah. Doesn't have a
And
hood.
my partner's very into skiing, and he calls me just calls me fashion. And
I love that.
Yeah, it's like,
my nickname is Fashion.
But he's very much into the, clothing being functional.
Oh my gosh, that's my husband. Inside out, constantly. And he just doesn't understand like the need for like different things. I remember this is not sportswear, but exactly that about the practical over like looking good.
Yeah.
And we went on a weekend break, like a European city break for Christmas. Or like the weekend before Christmas. And I packed I packed 2 different pairs of black boots and I wore a pair.
Yeah.
And he was just like, you don't need 3 pairs of black boots. This is one weekend.
Yeah.
But I was like, but I don't know what we're doing. This is a surprise trip that you planned for me. Like,
I need a heel.
Exactly. I need a complete flat, but also like warm boot.
Yeah.
For like in the day if we're going somewhere.
And be able to walk around in it.
Yeah, be comfortable. Then I need like a high heel if you're taking me somewhere like super nice maybe. Or like something a bit chic, like a nice little like kitten heel.
Yeah.
Or something like that. So we're going for dinner. Like I want to look nice. I can't wear my stompy boots that I've been wearing around the city all day. But I don't want to wear my high heel boots because it's just dinner. It's not dinner and drinks. It's just dinner. So I needed my like lower heel boots as well. You know?
Exactly.
But he just didn't understand it. He was like, just take a pair of boots. One boot. That's the trick.
Yeah.
That does not work like that. It's a difference sometimes, isn't it, between that practical mindset
and the functional mindset.
He's forever buying me like my Christmas presents. Oh my good God, once I got a sleeping bag. I think that was the first year we were together.
A sleeping bag
for Christmas.
Oh, great.
He also got me some jewellery. That made up for it. Balance. It's all about balance. And I think he's very much learned it is all about balance. But he got me a sleeping bag. And I remember he was so excited to give it to me. He was like, you said you didn't have one. I was like, I've never needed one.
Here's your beautiful down sleeping bag. To be fair, I mean, a good sleeping bag camping makes such a world of a difference.
Well, I've definitely learned that now. You know, I've embraced the outdoors. Like, I've definitely done like a full circle, gone from like, you know, walks in the country as a child with my parents to then like city girl to then back round to love going out, love going for a walk. And it is like, it's that saying, isn't it? It's like there's no such thing as bad weather, it's just bad clothing.
Yeah, exactly. But you still want to look good.
But you do still want to look good.
I think that's the point here, isn't it? You still want to look good. Anyway, we've gone off a complete tangent about functional fashion. So what we're going to talk about today, it's January. What's going on in retail in January? It's always a bit of a panic month, isn't it? How can we generate some extra sales?
It's just a tough month, and it really brings you right back down with a thud.
Yeah, after the highs of Christmas trading.
Yeah, and whether your Christmas trading's been good or bad, there's an adrenaline rush about it, right? Because you're wanting to get those sales in. It's like the golden quarter, like you've got to get the sales in. So even if it's like tough, you've got that like adrenaline going. You've got these like trade meetings that are just like so super focused. What we're doing, like what we're going to do with the stock. If you've got too much, like how are you going to like get out of it?
Are we carrying it over? Are we going to burn it? Are we going to do a sale?
But what's your plan?
Yeah.
And then and then if sales are really bad as well, you've got like copious, like tons of Christmas parties to go to, you know, personal and often like the work ones too. But loads of Christmas parties to go drown your sorrows. And if you're on a high, then just drink loads and, do you know what I mean? You're on such a buzz, aren't you? And it's such I think we talked about it before about Christmas, just buying it. It's such an emotive, like Christmas means so much to so many people. It's almost infectious, isn't it? But
it is.
So you come back down to reality with an absolute thud in January. Yeah. For most departments. Apart from maybe skiwear.
Yeah, apart from skiwear. That's wow. I suppose you do need to get it before then, with global warming as well.
True. Although you often find there's no snow in December, don't you? And then it's like kind of like,
finishing earlier. Which is sad.
Short season.
But so January is very much a quick win month, I've found in my career, about how can we generate some extra sales before the year end? How can we, if we're exceeding budget, how can we do even more? And if we're not hitting budget, how can we hit budget?
I always find that one the funniest one, that if we're not hitting budget, how are we going to hit budget? Particularly with the comparison, like what really are you going to be able to fill out the bag in
Yeah.
January?
Yeah,
that
no one's
will
got any money.
Yeah, but that will make up for that deficit. Do you know what I mean? Like, we didn't hit our number at Christmas, so therefore we really need to make it up in January. It's like, on what planet do you think that we're going to be able to make that up? Like, we can definitely start to make some inroads.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a couple of things we can
some
do.
lessons for next year.
We can definitely show the board we're trying things.
Yeah.
But on what planet do you actually think you're going to be able to cover your Christmas sales by putting a little deal on or putting something new in January?
Yeah, some quick wins. Like, I know that we sort of did a real rush project once for a retailer I worked for, where we were bringing in things like foot spas and electric blankets and NutriBullets.
Yes, because it's
like,
all about,
those.
yeah. Everyone does that then. When we worked for a jewellery retailer, it was like, right, January, what are we thinking? Okay, water bottles.
Yeah.
Water bottles. Everyone's going to have a water bottle
now.
Absolutely bloody everybody does a water bottle in January. It's not a new idea.
Mm-hmm.
It's because everyone's going to be like, oh God, I need to drink a bit more water.
Yeah, exactly. But they've already got their water bottle for as a Christmas present.
You're not going to go out with it. Yeah. Or all the fitness DVDs come out, don't they?
Yes. Yeah.
But quick wins.
Yeah. I mean, it's just the most hilarious brainstorm, isn't it? That starts happening at the end of November when you were really down on your sell through, and then you're just like, we'll pull out the bag in 6 weeks.
Does anyone know any suppliers with anything?
Yeah. What have they got? Well, they've only got stuff that doesn't sell. So we definitely don't want to be taking that in.
Or some more things we could put into the sale. They've got tons of baubles left over like we have. Mm-hmm. Shall we just get some more of those? We'll just do an epic post-Christmas sale.
Yeah. Which, in fairness, sometimes does work.
Not a bad idea.
It's the execution, though. I always used to find that if you've got multiple stores and you're buying in for sale stock, you've got to have a really good execution. Otherwise, they don't sort of understand that you've bought it in for that.
Yeah.
You know? And then
don't know where to put it. It's not part of the plan.
We won't get this out now. We'll keep it for next year.
Yeah.
No, it's part of the actual strategy.
Especially when you're buying it so last minute.
Yeah.
And then you just got to make sure that, you communicate it out to the stores. Otherwise, how are they supposed to know that that's what you meant?
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
all those reindeers arriving in January weren't like a mispick. No, you're supposed to have it centre stage, please.
Yeah, exactly.
Front of store.
I know it's January, but some people are in the market for a reindeer in January. You just don't know.
Do you know what? I do wish that Christmas did continue. I feel like the sudden stop at the beginning of January could be really harsh,
isn't it?
I think a lot of places do continue it. There's places like in Europe. We went on another Christmas trip I went on. Sorry, I'm totally digressing, but I went on another Christmas trip. Right. And we went like mid-December and it was all closed.
Mid-December?
Mid-December. I'm like, oh God, why, it's all closed. Like, have we missed it? They're like, no, it starts next week. Wait, it starts next week. So in some countries, they don't start celebrating Christmas until literally Christmas sort of day.
Oh, wow.
And then it continues well into January. It's like a whole month of celebrations, but like that way. And I'm like, oh, that's a nice way. So just elongate it. Because January is hard sometimes.
Yeah.
So let's keep the Christmas lights up. It's so dark outside.
Actually. Yeah.
Keep the fairy lights going.
Yeah.
And as ex-Christmas buyers, lengthen our runway.
Yeah, exactly, because it is always starting later every year, isn't it? Like it is, at the end of last year, I think around about mid-November, people were still saying it hasn't started yet. And like I remember that from the previous year, like, oh, it hasn't started yet. When is it bloody well started then? Do you know what I mean? So we should create like a new holiday in the new year, really, shouldn't we? Like Christmas continues or something. I don't know. I'm not marketing.
But I can tell. But like I think a lot of industries would really like that as well, because places like people don't eat out maybe or don't.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
Because you're still in your home.
Yeah.
Very much in January.
And people aren't really going out, so like pubs and restaurants and things probably really welcome like another holiday to celebrate, to get people all excited and get people out and enjoying it, rather than
maybe making more of the New Year thing as well. Like in Scotland they massively celebrate it. It's Hogmanay. It's huge. It's almost bigger than Christmas sometimes in Scotland. Like,
have you set New Year's resolutions? Do you know what? Don't
Not
worry.
really.
Save it until next week. I'll give you a week to think about that.
Okay.
Come back to me next week with your
Some
resolutions
New
for
Year's
2025.
Yes, I will. Gosh.
Did you once tell me that somebody suggested blow up beds for Christmas, for January trading?
Yeah. I know. I mean, I'm not quite sure whether that was a joke or whether it was just safe space brainstorm
Because
in a
they
room
both-
somewhere.
I can think of a way to inflate our sales.
That's terrible. I love that you just saw that.
Sorry.
Oh my
It's like the
God.
dad jokes are like hanging
But
over from Christmas.
Yes. Inflate our sales, mate. That's got to go down in the top 10. Yeah, it's a really, really difficult trading month, isn't it? In all seriousness, it is probably the hardest month in retail, especially if you haven't had a good Christmas, especially if you've not had a good summer. You know, it is.
But I feel, and I think sometimes it's easier to say it, isn't it, than do it, because when you're in the thick of it can be really tough. But I feel like that is definitely a time to brush it off and not get too stressed about it.
Yeah.
Like, okay, your sales haven't come in, but really, like realistically, what can you really do in January to change your fortune? Unless the company won the lottery.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That you need a big win, and maybe that sounds defeatist, but there are lots of little things you can do, but I really don't think you can completely change your fortune and change that end of year number in such a short period of time when sales are naturally down and footfall is low.
Yeah. I mean, it's a combination. I think what I learned from it was it's about getting all those departments together. It's not necessarily about buying more product to sell it. It was about get everybody singing off the same hymn sheet and saying, right, what have we got left? How can we trade this? How can we pull this together? What other concepts can we pull together? How can we market it? How can we package this up? How can we sell,
and how can you
it in a different way to the customer?
How do you make sure that your end of year stock number is low?
Mm-hmm.
Because if there's one thing, you can't drive the sales, which, let's face it, is going to be really tough. What can you do to then limit your risk, reduce your overhang? How can you, trade it? Like, it's quite a fun way of looking at it, really.
Yeah, exactly. You don't really want to be bringing in more product. Unless it's planned for.
Not
I think
if you're
that's
sitting
where it gets
stock
really
heavy.
scary, isn't it? When you're sat in a meeting in end of November, beginning of December, frantically scouring the market for product. Like, it's, in my experience, it's never worked out. You just net out, if anything. Like, if that's the hope, isn't it? That you just get the sales, you net out, but then you haven't addressed your stock.
The stock, exactly.
So-
And as long as you, like, if you're sitting on a hefty stock position, it's just overall the health of your company is not going to be particularly favourable. So it's definitely a month to look at trading, getting through that stock, getting rid of all the things that you had before. Go deep on your discounts. Get the limited footfall that's there, grab their attention with some great deals.
Yeah, exactly. And everybody's watching each other, aren't they? And especially at the moment with, obviously, there's a lot of casualties, which is really hard, and there's a lot less consumer spending anyway. You know, it is hard for that messaging to come through without being insensitive to your customers. That makes sense.
I totally get that.
Yeah, it's I think the strongest retailers are actually playing into that. You know, and also I think as companies as well, you have a duty to your employees at this point of the year, because it's like been a really hard slog at the end of the year. You know, like you said, golden quarter, they're knackered, they're tired. What well-being measures are you putting in place for your staff, like in January? It's just, I think that's what most companies should be focusing on. You know, how do you re-energize your staff for the whole year? Spring's coming. That's when the big launch and the focus should be. Almost taking your eye off the prize on that if you're trying to do too many quick wins in January.
Do one of those motivational talks that often they do, like kind of going into the Christmas period, where they G you all up of like, this is where we are, this is where we need to be, this is the number, we can do this.
Yeah.
Do one of those again in January. New year. Let bygones be bygones. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
Let's get on and let's
get behind this and make the stores sing again.
Yeah.
Oh,
I like that. Make the stores sing again.
And even online retailers as well, you know. Same situation. You need to drive your traffic and keep your staff engaged. Because often, you've worked for an online retailer, like you're on calls round the clock, aren't you? And it is really hard.
Oh, in the lead up to Christmas, yeah, 24/7, isn't it?
Yeah, it is tough.
It doesn't sleep. Talking of doing nice things for your staff in January, I remember one of my friends, it wasn't necessarily January, but one of my friends told me her first buyer at Disney would buy the whole team like chopped pineapple because she didn't want them getting sick.
Oh, wow.
Apparently she was a bit of a legend. But I like that. Like vitamin C is important, right?
It is. I definitely used to put oranges on my assistants' desks. Be like, eat your oranges, vitamin C, come on.
I don't want any of you going off sick.
Yeah.
It's in a very caring, please do not.
It is caring.
But in a very, please do not turn up for work, I need you.
Yeah, exactly. Because actually,
please do not succumb to any illnesses.
Yes, totally. And it's a breeding ground for it, isn't it? Especially
a breeding ground.
It is for germs. So other things that happen in January in the retail calendar is obviously we are frantically, actually incredibly busy getting away all the orders for the next Christmas. So everyone is mindful of Chinese New Year, and Chinese New Year changes every year, obviously, in terms of date.
And it gets longer and longer.
Yes, exactly. It gets longer, and then it can be, when it's really early, that's when the panic sets in.
Maybe that should be the celebration we continue with. We do Christmas, we then do New Year, and then we all celebrate Chinese New Year.
Yeah, I'm all off from it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I know that causes so much panic.
Yeah, and especially because quite a few people, because people don't you can't take holiday in the lead up to Christmas, and then Christmas itself is always a nightmare with who gets to take which days, and we have to have cover. But why don't we just all take it off? I remember being so insanely jealous of other people in other industries where their companies just shut down. They would always be a bit like, a lot of them would sort of say, oh, but you're forced to take holiday there, and I was like, happily take that holiday, rather than having to be the only person in the office to man the phones in case someone calls, which they're not going to because it's Christmas. And most of the retail, most of the areas where the stores were, and most of the stores, everybody celebrated Christmas where we were. So it's just like, well, who's going to be calling realistically?
It's skeleton cover, isn't it?
And also, can't they wait? What is going to be that drastic?
Well, everyone just goes a bit bonkers, don't they? Because they think all the supermarkets close for a day. Oh, good God! Cannot go buy a can of beans.
Just calm down, everybody.
Yeah,
let's just all just take a bit of time off. We're so go all the time. I just think it's one of the nicest times of year because everybody's off.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not everybody. Not if you're Joe Blogs and you're sat in the office, but most people are. I also remember when I was in the office. You would be told, I remember being told so many times that, oh, don't worry, I'll be quiet. You can get a lot of sorting out done.
Yes.
But it never was quiet because you would be the only one there. And like you said, you'd be raising orders or something like that, because you've got to get it all ready for the new year before everybody's back. And then people take holiday in January. Yeah. Trying to get sign off in January can be difficult. So difficult. So tricky because you can't find a date where they're all in, and then especially because you need it to go well because of Chinese New Year.
You don't really have any time to fanny about with
we need to be aligned. No, we can't go back and revise the numbers, but then also because it is that bit where you're getting to the crunch point of the end of the year, maybe numbers have or haven't come in through. Everybody's really, that's the most risk averse time period, I think, for senior leadership, because they're like, oh, I don't really want to commit to that because I don't really know what the end of year number's going to finally come out at, but I kind of think maybe it's not quite where we need it to be. Well, maybe we should push this number, or it's doing so much better. Well, I'm not really sure, but we had a really good Christmas. Do I think that's going to continue? I don't know if that's going to continue. Should we push this number harder?
But they don't have that long to think about it, and they don't like that.
And you can't give them that time to think about it either, because you need a decision, because Chinese New Year, you need to get the orders in.
Yeah, I know, and I remember us always talking about trying to get them more engaged earlier on, but actually it still doesn't work like that. If you're buying that seasonal category, you're just always forever. I've never ever had a smooth sailing season where you just get things signed off. It is a category that is so emotional, and, you know, people do really have to take a bit of a risk and a punt on it. And if you've got a senior leadership team that aren't very good at that, then it's always going to be a tricky one. So January can be completely stressful for a lot of teams.
Yeah, I think they just come back in January and feel unable to make a decision. Maybe they're hungover. Never thought about that before.
Yeah, maybe it's a
month-long
hangover.
But yeah, that's if you get time in to do the sign-offs, because everybody does take a January holiday. And part of me's like, oh, I don't blame you. It's a bit miss here. If I had all the money, I'd jet off to Barbados too in January.
Yeah, same. Why not? Don't blame them. But in terms of other product categories, what can we think of who would be really, really busy in January? Or other businesses?
Well, we mentioned the sportswear, didn't we?
Yes.
The sportswear definitely is gonna be big.
It's going to be their peak.
Is everybody getting on it, being like, "Woof, definitely ate too much. Definitely need to go work out." I once joined a gym in January, but it's also the time when you're feeling poorest, as we know, low footfall and all of that. You spent all your money pre-Christmas. But I was like, I really should join a gym. I'm going to join a gym. So I went for one of the cheaper ones because I was like, definitely, like, it's worth it. You know, I'll just lock myself in, but it's super, super, super cheap. I think I went once.
Like that month?
No. I then just forgot to cancel it. I think it was about 6 months and I'd gone once. I was like, that was the most expensive decision I ever made in January.
Oh my God.
Ridiculous. So yeah, note to self.
I think you come in.
I think they did. Do you know what the problem was with it, with the cheap gem, is that, like, in your mind you're like, oh, it's not even that much if I don't go.
Exactly.
Like, it's fine. Yeah, it's fine. It's not even that much. Like, I'll pay for it. And then you're like, oh, I'm not really feeling the gym today. Whereas if I'd have paid for a really expensive gym, I'd have gone. So actually, it would have been more cost effective. But at the same time, then the low cost gyms are probably pretty empty though, because it's full of everybody thinking that. So then there's like no one there. It's probably one of the best gyms to go to.
Yeah.
If you actually go.
Yeah. No, exactly. But how should we sign this one off?
Wow, I can't believe that we've got to the end of our first episode back in January.
And
already.
Season 4. Oh my gosh, we've got a really good season lined up, haven't we?
So many
really
great
exciting guests. Lots of really, really different subjects to talk about as well, other than just inside the life and times of a retailer.
We're going beyond.
We are going
This is
beyond.
And beyond.
We are. So we hope that you all tune in to listen to the rest of the season.
So next week, we're going to talk a little bit more about the future. What's in store?
Yeah. What's in store?
What's not in a literal store, but what's coming?
Oh my gosh.
I'm
inflating the sales and in store.
What's in store for us?
You are on fire.
But yeah, we're going to talk about 2025, what's coming up. Where do we see things going?
Where do we see the high street going? Where do we see...
And where are we taking this podcast as well? We'll talk about what do we have coming up, who we've hopefully got joining us.
Yes, exactly. But what else are we doing as well? All the exciting things, all the exciting projects that we're working on at the moment.
Exactly.
We'll sort of dive into a little bit about that.
Because January's a great time to look at your roadmap and be like, okay, set your scene.
We certainly have been, haven't we?
Yeah.
So,
I feel like you have September, which is like your new school year. And then you have your January, that's your new year. And for me, those are my 2 resets in the year. Of course, you can stop it and start again at any point. But for me, those are the 2 times where
reforecasting that budget.
Yes. I'm on the 6 plus 6 plus 2 plus 5.
Yeah, exactly.
Revised.
Exactly. Version 7.
Exactly. And with that...
Great. Happy January.
Happy Jan.
If you've enjoyed listening to this episode, please, please, please like and subscribe and leave a review. And if you already have, thank you, thank you, thank you. We all need a bit of retail therapy. and this is the perfect time for you to offload about that super cringeworthy story. We would love to hear from you all, your funny stories and experiences, or even any dilemmas. And maybe we can help, or at least find someone who can. And don't worry, we will keep these anonymous and remove any names and brands.
We would also love to hear from you on any topics you would like us to talk about. Please send all of these into buyingandbeyond@gmail.com or drop us a DM via our Instagram page @buyingandbeyond. Kate, are you a drama queen?
No,
Drama just makes things interesting.
that's true.
All these thoughts and opinions are our own and based on our own experiences working for a wide variety of retailers. These are all in the hope to entertain and educate, and not to reflect negatively on any place we currently or have previously worked.